Paris 24, Los Angeles 28.
Olympics.
Paris Olympics.
The Paris Olympics.
2024 Summer Olympics.
Paris Olympics.
Summer Olympic Games.
Paris Olympic Games.
Paris Olympics.
You see, for many decades, hosting the Olympics has gained countries' reputation and international exposure. It's an opportunity to showcase countries' culture, infrastructure, and capabilities on world stage. It's a big deal.
And major event for France since the last decade, maybe, because it was the last time was in 1924.
Up with just some numbers on
And
just the
preparing for
overall
Paris.
stats.
Okay.
Exactly. So 100 years. This is the last time that Paris hosted the Olympics in 1924. This is the third time they're hosting. First time was in 1900.
The glory of our best athletes competing for greatness in shiny new stadiums for viewers around the world. But recent games are rife with overspending, waste, and controversy.
Hosting the Olympics has cost countries more than it has actually gained.
Today I went to Paris to see if the country is ready.
The verdict is not quite.
We hope things will be all right too. We hope.
But Paris seems to have solved this budget issue with the 2024 Olympics by making it the cheapest Olympics ever. Does that mean Paris is broke? Well, far from it. They're incredibly smart and they're using three primary ways to solve this budget issue that's been going on for years. So, in today's video, we're going to cover just that, and most importantly, we'll find out how the 2024 Olympics is a big, big win and a major success, even before it actually began. Let's get right into it. You see, when cities enter into bids to host the Olympic Games, public excitement rises, and there are a few reasons why. Number one, improving city infrastructure. Number two, new sporting facilities. Number three, fueling the creation of job opportunities in the region. And obviously, the opportunity to receive global exposure. And number five, tourism expansion. You see, when host countries develop legacy plans to ensure that the investments made for the Olympics continue to benefit the local community, the residents, long after the games have ended, the citizens tend to react happily. They support, they react with greater support, and eventually everyone's happy, right? But it's never really that simple. I mean, we're talking about the biggest event of the year, and it's watched by 3 billion people around the world. So it's definitely a mission impossible. Let's rewind a little.
Could we be watching the death of the Olympics? Well, right now, it's hard to tell.
A number of challenges faced the Tokyo Olympics of 2021, including COVID-19 disruption, construction delays, budget issues, and strong public opposition. The real cost of hosting the Olympics exceeded expectations by a shocking 20%, coming in at $12.8 billion, and an $800 million drop in ticket sales, which dealt a fatal blow to the budget. Now, again, this is because of the lockdowns, the travel restrictions. 2021, not a good year for a lot of us, right? But 4 years before Tokyo, let's rewind a little. 4 years before the Tokyo Olympics, this is the condition of some of the venues of Rio 2016. Now, the footage was shot 1 year after the Olympics ended, so we're talking roughly around in 2017. But this is the scene of some of the venues here. The major stadium's electricity was shut off because it costed them $1 million just on electricity bills. The athletes' village was completely abandoned, which was originally planned for luxury condos. So it's really a sad state here. But fast forward to 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, it was meant to be the most affordable Olympics yet, with an estimated cost of $3.9 billion. But to the organizing committee's shock, to even my shock, the total budget of that Olympics was shot up to, and get ready for this, $38 billion. That's right, from 3.9 to $38 billion, making it one of the most expensive Olympics in recent memory. That's crazy. That's a lot of money. 3.9, 38. What? The most expensive Olympics by far is the Sochi 2008 in Russia, which costed a staggering $58 billion. That's right, $58 billion. Crazy stuff. So you may be wondering, how much did it cost for Paris 2024, right? We'll talk about it. It costed Paris just $9.8 billion. $9.8 billion. I know. It's still a big figure, but it's not $58 billion. And yeah, it is the cheapest Olympics in the last century. That's right. I'm not kidding. It is the cheapest Olympics in the last century. But the most important thing is there are a few surprises with this year's Olympics, which we will get to later. So let's talk about how they are doing this.
It's about responsible games, delivering less complex games, which means less costly games, and that's very important because we have to be cost conscious in today's world.
Now, all of what we've said so far essentially highlights the incredible amount of money, infrastructure, and people that are required to get this up and running. And did you know the only continent to not host the Olympics in the entire history of the event is Africa, simply due to how expensive it is to host the event. That's why Los Angeles is considered an ideal Olympic host given its well-established infrastructure that can support the event seamlessly. So maybe we could see the cheapest Olympics in 2028 when it's in LA. We never know. But what sort of sorcery is Paris hiding up its sleeve? Let's find out. The 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris will not only be the most economical in history, but also the greenest. Just 4 entirely new facilities will be built for the 2024 Olympics as a result of the decision to map out current venues and buildings for the Games. So, what are they building new? Number 1 is the Media Center or Media Village. Second is the Saint Denis Aquatics Center. Number 3 is Paris Arena 2, or I guess it's currently known as Accor Arena. And number 4 is the Athletes Village, which we will get to later. And for the very first time in the history of Olympic Games, it will take place not in the stadium, but Paris' iconic River Seine. Notoriously polluted, the river is being cleaned up in time for the Olympics.
And on the 26th of July 2024, 10,000 athletes will board more than 160 boats for an open-air opening ceremony unlike anything the Olympics has seen before.
And almost all of the venues will either take place in existing arenas or temporary setups, avoiding unnecessary construction projects and showing the beauty of France as is through the Games. But how are they saving billions doing this? You see, Paris is prioritizing on 3 important and major factors. Part 1 is temporary venues or temporary stadiums. Part 2 is reusing existing facilities and infrastructure. And part 3 is repurposing new facilities for permanent use after the Games get over. And we'll dive deeper into each of these parts more deeply. So let's get right into it, beginning with temporary stadiums. So there are 38 competition venues, okay? There are 38 competition venues, and 36 venues will either adopt an existing facilities or existing infrastructure, or will be built, or will have newer temporary stadiums or temporary venues. And only 2 new venues or 2 new competition venues would be built completely from scratch and will have newer infrastructure, which will be repurposed. We'll get to that later. But this is not just going to make it the cheapest Olympics ever, but also the world's first carbon neutral Olympics.
We believe the success of Paris is also how we will reduce the carbon footprint and to resist against the climate change.
But temporary stadiums by itself isn't a very new concept. It's been used multiple times before in multiple Olympics and also many World Cups. For example, the London Olympic Stadium is a temporary stadium that still stands today. In fact, the Stadium 974 during the FIFA World Cup 2022, which was held in Qatar, was also a temporary stadium, and some part of it has been dismantled, and photos of it were rolling across the internet and became viral. It became a thing. All of this draws focus on the fact that the infrastructure costs are slashed half in comparison to raising permanent structures or permanent stadium. You save 50% by installing or building a temporary venue or a temporary stadium. So it's a no-brainer, right? Paris' most emblematic and iconic sites will be transformed into spectacular competition venues in the heart of the city. The Grand Palais will host the fencing and taekwondo competitions, archery at Esplanade des Invalides Archery, and the beach volley and football five-a-side competitions will take place at Champ de Mars, while the marathon, the triathlon, and the open water races will start off at the foot of the Eiffel Tower in the cleaned-up Seine River. And finally, the equestrian events will take place in the majestic gardens of Chateau de Versailles. I apologize if I pronounce any of these French names wrong, but here's a list of other exciting sites that will be utilized for the events. It's on the screen. Maybe you could take a screenshot if you want, or read it out. Now, reusing existing infrastructure is not a new discovery, and is a practice that most host countries, in my opinion, should try to implement as much as possible, and they very well do. Paris is building a massive urban development project that will house all 14,000 athletes, and the new village will cover an area of 70 soccer fields in Saint-Denis, north of Paris, and only 7 kilometers away from central Paris, and will only keep the athletes 30 minutes away from majority of the venues.
The village will not feature air conditioning in its apartments in an effort to slash its carbon emissions. Several delegations, including the Greeks and the Australians, announced that they plan to provide athletes with their own air conditioning and fans.
We don't need air conditioning in these buildings because we oriented the facades so that they wouldn't get too much sun during the summer, and the facades the insulation is really efficient. We also are providing naturally cool water that we're getting from underground to cool the air of these apartments. So you will not need air conditioning in the summer here.
Now, after the event, it will be repurposed for residential use for 6,000 residents, and this is a super smart strategy. You see, Saint-Denis is the poorest region in mainland France due to its encircling socio-economic issues clubbed with rising crime rates. So, the conversion of Saint Denis for the purpose of the Olympics is perhaps one of two sides of a coin. Now, the other three new facilities, built from scratch as I mentioned earlier in the video, will also be repurposed. The new Aquatics Center will be reconfigured at the end of the games as a local facility with 2,500 seats. The construction of a second site, Paris Arena 2 or Accor Arena currently, is an 8,000-seat sports hall, which has already been planned. It had already been planned regardless of the games and was completed by 2021 actually. And the Media Center or the Media Village, which will also serve the locals like the Olympics Village to the residents, to the citizens of the country. But just building stadiums and venues aren't enough while prepping for the world's largest event. And this is where Paris may get their head scratching. I'll explain. There are growing concerns about transport during the games. You see, there are more than 12 million residents in Paris, and the city is expected to invite up to 15 million visitors. So, there are fears that the already decentralized transport network will not be able to cope up. So, during the event, the price of metro tickets is set to hike as much as twice as it is currently to reduce the rush and reduce the amount of crowds, to regulate that.
So the price of the ticket is being doubled from €2.10 to €4 for the duration of the games, while the cost of a one-week unlimited pass will go from €30 to €70. The Transport Users Union says that's prohibitively expensive, but the regional government has reassured residents the cost of their monthly passes won't go up.
Now, the effect has been cascading and has authorities encouraging people living in Paris to work from home during the Olympic Games and to take holidays whenever they feel possible. Now, that sounds fun, but many resident Parisians expressed their concerns that the games may actually disrupt their day-to-day lives.
Motorised vehicles will be banned from areas close to Olympic venues, except for residents and a few other exceptions, but it seems most Parisians just want to avoid the hassle. A poll published earlier this month revealed that more than half of Parisians want to leave town during the festivities.
There are also concerns about the ticket prices, as it is reported that the ticket prices would be some of the most expensive at an Olympic event, ranging from €24 all the way up to €2,750. I'll put some conversion rates up here, you can check it out. But these prices could change based on demand. It'll probably go up. But despite all the concerns, Paris seems confident and ready for the Olympics, with a massive security operation in place, putting law enforcement officers at the forefront of security on an international level. Some of the major airports closer to the event will halt operations during the opening ceremony for security concerns. It was reported that the British Olympic Association will provide an app to athletes and staff so they can have access to instant help and the ability to share their location with security staff. 30,000 police officers and 15,000 soldiers will be mobilized for the event, with tens of thousands of private security guards present at fan zones and venues. Drones and AI-powered cameras will be in place to detect suspicious crowd movements as well. So a lot of thought, a lot of measures are in place for the events, without a doubt. You see, the last time Paris hosted the Olympics was back in 1924. It was a long time ago. It's exactly 100 years back. Don't worry about it, you weren't even there. But it was the first time when women were allowed to participate at the Olympics. There were 22 women out of 997 back in the day. And they also introduced the concept of Olympic Village, which still stands today, which is still used today, by building temporary huts. Pretty big deal. So, without a doubt, Paris 2024 is, all set to break brand new set of records. Let's get into that now. Paris 2024 will be the first gender-equal and Paralympic Games, and they're also hoping to see as many women as men registered for the Olympics this year. Number 3 is world's first carbon neutral event. Number 4 is that Paris 2024 will include breakdance for the very first time. And number 5, there are 8 other new events which are going to happen for the first time in the world. To me, as an architecture student, one of the most important takeaways of this event at large is how could we become more efficient hosting such events, hosting Olympics, hosting World Cups, in the future hosting World Cups of various other sports as well, right? How do we become more efficient? Should we have permanent hosts or should we continue placing bids? That's the important question. Obviously, placing bids is the fun part because we always get to find a new country and how they've hosted and how they've gotten things ready for the event, how they've gotten themselves prepped. It's a fun part, but at what cost, right? Now, Paris 2024 Olympics is a big masterpiece plan, and it's going to be a fun event, and we'll get to know the true budgets eventually after the event is over. But there are some other master plans that have changed the entire course of the country and have created newer capitals for the country. So to watch that video and to find more about that, find out here. And until then, thank you so much for watching the video until the end, and I will see you soon in the next one. Take care.